Hello Rocket Troops, and welcome back to the HQ. This is Admin Shade here with yet another OU battle against Rick, aka Richeez, from our stream. Just to talk about our stream, give you guys a little update, Admin Umbra almost has his capture card. That is right, Rocket HQ will soon have 2 functioning capture cards, so that way we can bring you quality streams as often as possible. And actually, a little update with that as well, Admin Umbra and I talked for a little while, and instead of having our normal 7 p.m. every other day schedule, we're actually going to move it to stream just at kind of random times whenever we feel like it is best for us to stream. And what does that mean? That actually means that we want to make sure that we have the best content possible, that we have our teams ready so we can battle, we can do fun stuff in the stream. He and I are going to come up with new stuff that we can do on stream to have some more fun with you guys and produce more quality videos such as this one. So without further ado, let me talk about these teams and we'll jump into the battle. So immediately after looking at Rick's team for just a minute, I was trying to assess what he would lead with, and I see the Heatran, I see the Deoxys, and I see the Rotom. So I wasn't really sure at first what he was going to do, because I'm used to seeing the Deoxys speed variant with spikes, stealth rocks, all that good stuff, and then Heatran as well, air balloon, that kind of thing. And then there's the Rotom as well, a Will-O-Wisp normal defensive Rotom. It's actually a pretty good poke to throw out there and just see what's going to happen, because Rotom can take a decent amount of hits. And then there's a couple other things on his team that are somewhat troubling. There's the Gyarados. Gyarados has swept me many a time. Mega, Dragon Dance, and it's just so hard to kill after that. I've actually been wanting to make a couple Gyarados sets just to try it out. But then there's this Bisharp, which is, I'm assuming, is just knockoff, Sucker Punch, that kind of thing. And then there's the Zapdos, which can either be offensive or defensive, depending on how he chose to run it. And I think in the battle, he actually has a defensive one similar to mine. I have a special defensive Zapdos, which is actually a very powerful wall if you ever want to try that. So my team now, I have the Empoleon and I have the Weavile as kind of my 2 sort of interchangeable leads. Empoleon has the Roar, the Stealth Rocks, Scald, and Ice Beam, which is actually pretty decent coverage on a lead poke. And then I also have Focus Sashed Weavile with knockoff, taunt, pretty good to throw out there and just make sure that nothing can set up on you like Ferrothorn, that kind of thing. So in addition to that, I have the Scarf Chomp, which is pretty standard. It does a lot of damage. I just wanted a really fast physical sweeper that could get some work done if I needed it to. I have my Dusclops, which is decently powerful. It's actually Toxic, Nightshade, Curse, and Pain Split. So it's actually a pretty decent Dusclops. I like it a lot. Dusclops is one of my favorite Pokemon. Then I have the Crobat. The Crobat's not bad either. It has Super Fang, Brave Bird, combination that's pretty good at wall breaking, stuff like that. Stall breaking, wall breaking, all that good stuff. So next and last but not least, I actually have my Miltank, which is from my Mono Normal team. I like it a lot. It's a Heal Beller. I really needed Heal Bell on this team. I wanted to make sure I covered all my bases and that nothing could get status that badly. So without further ado, let me jump into the battle and we will start this commentary. So make sure if you want to check out our stream whenever we decide to stream, make sure you follow us on Twitter, make sure you follow us on Twitch, all that good stuff so you can be notified whenever we start. So I send out Weavile to start off the battle. And he actually sends out Mr. Clean, the Rotom, and I immediately go for a taunt on this thing because I do not want it to Will-O-Wisp me, break my sash, cripple me, any of that stuff. So it actually does try to go for a Will-O-Wisp, which I kind of predicted, and then I immediately switch out to my Garchomp, aka Finn, because I predict a Volt Switch. Now, Rick actually did a really awesome prediction, and he predicted me to go into Garchomp, predicting his Volt Switch. So that was a pretty insane prediction. He goes for Hydro Pump, does about half. And I just immediately go into Outrage because I'm not terrified of anything on his team. He doesn't have any fairies. I'm not that afraid of going into Outrage and being locked in. There is the Bisharp in the back, but again, I would do decent damage to that, I think. So he actually leaves his Rotom in here, and I go for my second Outrage and knock it out. So I was actually pretty happy to have that Rotom out of here as soon as I did when this battle started. So here I'm confused, of course, and he sends out Deoxys, so the Speed Deoxys. So I'm thinking at this point maybe he might try to go for some setup. He might try to throw out Stealth Rocks, some Spikes, that good stuff. But he actually goes for a knockoff and just gets my Garchomp out of here, which is a pretty nice play because he might have predicted me to try to fodder it off later on, and he would knock something else off. So that's a pretty decent play. I actually do see it is also Life Orbed because he has the HP drop, so I'm aware of that at this point. So it actually goes for Superpower. This is an attacking Speed Deoxys, very offensive set. And it actually brings me down to my Focus Sash, which is good because I don't think he even predicted me to have a Focus Sash. So he has the attack and defense drop, and I actually decide to go for a knockoff here just to get this thing out of here. I knew that it'd be much more damage than I needed to get off on this thing. So That is a dead Deoxys, which is pretty nice because that thing can be very powerful in certain circumstances. So then he sends out Daily Dose. It gets the Intimidate off on me, this beautiful Gyarados. And I'm afraid immediately because I try to go for a taunt because I don't want this thing setting up on me this early in the battle. I really don't want it to just sweep my team. I've had it happen so many times. He actually double switches out back into Bisharp, which is not a bad play whatsoever. And I go for the taunt on it. I just actually go out here because I'm afraid if it has any kind of priority. I wasn't sure what its last move was, I think. I didn't know if it had Bullet Punch or what, like any kind of priority move. I actually switch into Miltank here, and he did a good job of predicting a switch or just like trying to kill my Weavile, but either way, Knockoff was a very good choice. I go for the Stealth Rocks here just to get him back up. He goes for a Power Up Punch, and at this point, I know what his moveset is, and I'm not comfortable staying in here because I don't think that Miltank can take another hit, especially after that Power Up Punch. So I was kind of afraid of that. I wanted to save Miltank for later in case I needed it for that Gyarados. I wasn't quite sure. So I switch Weavile back in as Death Fodder, and again, I don't really know what this thing's going to try to do. It goes for a Sucker Punch, but that's in vain because I did not attack. I just decided to switch. So he actually switches in Daily Dose yet again, and yet again I'm like, please, Daily Dose, get out of here. I don't want you to set up on me. I don't want you to sweep my team. It's happened way too many times. I go for a low kick. Doesn't do that much damage at all. I actually did a low kick predicting his Bisharp to stay in. I just went for a low kick just in case, and I go for a taunt here just because I don't want this thing going for Dragon Dance, and again, just setting up all over my team. So it actually goes for a Waterfall here, which is a good move on Rick's part because he needed to get my Weavile out of here as my only taunt Pokemon that I had on my team. So now his Gyarados can actually set up whenever he feels necessary, but he didn't feel confident staying in with my Crobat here. Maybe he thought I had the Toxic, which is I think why he switches into Heatran. So that was again a very good play. Rick's playing very, very well, and I feel like I'm playing okay. I go for a Brave Bird here just because I went for it on Gyarados, and he did the right switch going in on Heatran. And I actually hit this Heatran decently well. I was surprised it did that much damage. And I pop its Air Balloon, obviously, lose a little bit of damage, but I get healed by my Black Sludge. So it's all good. I'm feeling pretty confident at the moment. I actually decided to stay in on this thing and go for a Super Fang. Just gets health down a little bit lower because I feel like after another hit, a nice Brave Bird, then I think I can finish this thing off, maybe at max damage. So he goes for an Ancient Power. Luckily, it does a good bit of damage, but luckily he doesn't get any of the stat raises or anything from that. So I just go for a Brave Bird, just trying to get as much damage as I did off before, and I was actually lucky enough here that I could get the crit. So that was nice. The Heatran's out of here. That was a pretty big threat out of the way. So I was feeling pretty good at this point in the battle. I felt like, you know, I had some Pokemon damage. There was some whittled down to about, you know, a quarter of their health left, maybe more. But at this point, he sends in this Zapdos. I'm like, okay, all my hopes are starting to go down the drain because I don't know if I want to take this. My Garchomp is gone, obviously. So there's not a whole lot else I can do. So I decided to switch in Hollow, which is my Dusclops, because it is specially invested, and it can take quite a few Thunderbolts, that whatever this thing wants to throw at me, really. And Rick actually goes for the very nice play here, predicting my switch, and actually goes for a Defog. So that was a very nice play on his part, getting those hazards out of the way, because he didn't want those hanging out there whenever he has a Gyarados to sweep my team with. So very good play. He goes for a Thunderbolt here, and it doesn't do that much damage at all to Dusclops because it is a very powerful defensive wall. So I just go for Toxic. I have, like I said, I have Toxic, Curse, Pain Split, and Nightshade. So it's a very good stalling Pokemon if you're looking for anything that is very specially defensive. This thing's like my version of Chansey. Like Umbra uses Chansey all the time. I use Dusclops. I think this thing's very offensive. It fits my playstyle more. I definitely recommend it. And at this point in the battle, we just kind of go back and forth here. I'm trying to kill it with Nightshade, waiting for the poison damage to take its toll, which I'm starting to rethink this set a little bit more because I'm thinking if I have Pain Split, do I really want the kind of toxic damage? Because, you know, that's sort of how I feel that Pain Split should work. But it saves me near the end whenever I don't quite do enough damage to this thing. So again, I just keep going for Nightshades. And all really I think Rick wants to do at this point is just whittle this Dusclops down to the point where it's easy bait for the Bisharp. So that's actually not bad plays either. It's about dead from this toxic damage now. Goes for another Thunderbolt, and I believe right here he actually gets the hacks and I get paralyzed, which, you know, he threw about like 5 of those things at me, so it was only a matter of time before it happened. So again, I go for a Nightshade. I finish this thing off. So not a bad play. It was actually a good idea on his part to stay in, I think. I don't think it was in his best interest to try to hurt anything else. He probably didn't know what the rest of my set was. So he actually goes for the knockoff here, kills my Dusclops, which I'm okay with. I was just firing it off at that point. It did its duty. And yeah, so his Pawn Star, his Bisharp, is just chilling right now. And I actually send in Happy Feet, which is my Empoleon. And it goes for a knockoff, which was a very good play. I did not predict it doing that much damage. But whenever I did pick this team out, I forgot that my Empoleon is just completely special defensive. So that was my fault, but I just go for a Scald and I get this thing out of here. So at this point, he has Gyarados left. Gyarados comes out here, and really what it comes down to right now, he has no other choice really, is with this last poke left but to set up. And so I predict that he actually goes to the Mega, which I expected, the beautiful blue Carp of Death. And at this point, it does come down to a burn. I decided to go for Scald because if I can get it off, it's probably enough where I can take one, and then the rest of my team can probably, you know, scrounge together a win for me. So I do go for the Scald here. I hit it, but I don't get the burn. So he actually goes for the Earthquake here. Knocks out Empoleon, and that's actually where the game about ends. That's where I lost the game. If I would have got that burn, it might have been a different story, but at this point, I have my Miltank, I switch it in, but this thing's going to do way too much damage. I'm not fast enough. This thing is just too powerful, and it actually sweeps the rest of my team. So that was a very beautiful game. I had a lot of fun. Even though I lost, I think losing's still fun. As long as you have fun playing the game, it doesn't matter if you lose, truthfully. Here, I switch in my Crobat. I'm a bat, and I just get eaten up by this waterfall. It is a crit, but it definitely doesn't matter. But yeah, that was a wonderful game. I had a great time. Rick, very well played game. GG, sir. And hopefully we'll be able to have more battles like that in the future on our stream. Everyone, make sure you check out our stream. We have a lot of fun. We're going to start streaming whenever Umber and I feel like it, basically. But it's going to be a whole lot of fun. We're going to make sure that we keep everyone notified since we're not going to be on a solid schedule. So yeah, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Twitch and Twitter. There'll be links to that in the description. But this is Admin Shade signing off for Rocket HQ.